This isn't an isolated incident. It's an industry-wide weakness. In the next few minutes, you'll see how multiple exploit paths across many products all trace back to the same AI IDE integration problem. Let's break it down. It's not one bug, it's an epidemic. This slide drives home that IDESaster is a vulnerability class. You can't just patch one thing and declare victory. This presentation likely shows a summary, maybe a table of products versus which exploits they had, or a list of CVEs to illustrate how widespread and varied the findings were. From the articles and cases, we have the remote JSON schema flaw, data exfiltration affecting VS Code-based tools, JetBrains-based tools, Z, etc. with multiple CVEs and fixes listed. ID settings override RCE similarly had CVEs across Copilot, Cursor, Roo, Z, etc. The multi-root workspace advanced RCE had CVEs like one for Copilot, Cursor, Roo, and one out of them was reported by another researcher too. And beyond these case studies, the researcher mentioned 30 plus separate vulnerabilities. They were reported in total, some using known techniques, others the new chain. What this means is we are dealing with a pattern of weakness in how AI integrates with IDEs. This slide's statement, not a single bug, underlines that no single patch or CVE will solve the issue entirely. It's more like when the industry realized XSS, cross-site scripting, was a class. Even if you fix one instance, you have to systematically code your web apps to avoid all instances. And here, the class might be dubbed something like AI IDE integration flaws, and it demands a systematic response. This present slide might highlight the impact scale affecting millions of users. We saw that earlier, multiple market-leading products, millions of developers potentially at risk. This is no small niche issue. For AI developers and vendors, this slide is a wake-up call. If your product is in that list, Copilot, Cursor, etc. You've hopefully patched by now, but what about the next feature you add or the next version of the IDE you base on? The takeaway from here is you need to go back and revisit your threat models, which we've discussed earlier. The Secure for AI principle should guide you to prevent more instances of IDESaster in the future. For policymakers and legal folks, seeing a whole class of vulnerabilities can shift how one approaches regulation. Instead of focusing on specific incidents, you might aim for rules that enforce process. For example, regulators might not list every possible IDESaster scenario, but they could require companies using AI in dev tools to conduct thorough security assessments or adhere to frameworks like requiring a threat model that includes base software or compliance with certain NIST guidelines for AI security once they exist. It's similar to how we handle other systemic issues. For instance, data breach laws don't list specific bugs but require reasonable security. The definition of reasonable evolves as new classes of vulns become known. After IDESaster, one could argue that ignoring AI-related vulnerabilities in dev tools would be unreasonable for a company that should know better. There's also a notion of shared responsibility here. This isn't just one vendor's fault. It's an industry-wide learning moment. Collaboration is key. Perhaps industry standards bodies like OWASP for application security or IEEE for tech standards will start working on guidelines specific to AI agent integration. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if we soon see an OWASP top 10 for LLM-based applications that covers things like prompt injection and, yes, IDE integration issues. To connect a legal point, if a vulnerability class is widely known and documented, which IDESaster now is in late 2025, future security incidents caused by it might be seen as more culpable. The first wave might be excusable as we didn't know. But now that we do know, failing to address it could border on negligence. Companies might even face lawsuits from customers or shareholders if they don't take action and they suffer a breach that traces back to an IDESaster type exploit. So in summary, this slide sets the stage that we need a holistic approach to deal with IDESaster. It's not about chasing one bug. It's leveling up our defensive strategy across the board. And that's exactly what the next slides are about: mitigations and recommendations for both users and tool builders.